just as a quick update, Dee stepped down, and then Rick has stepped down too, off the commission. So I've been talking to the mayor a little bit about, how we want to move forward and replacement. So we'll work on that. But I'll open it up to anybody who wants to take over a permanent chairship.
I'd like to make a motion that Newton Malloy, he did such a great job at the last meeting that he continues that.
Permanently.
I decline.
Newt did say
I didn't have the chance to second. Come on.
Newt did say he would fill in.
What was that President Johnson said back in the 60s?
Thank you.
We tried, Newt.
So, Newt, you'd fill in again if we need to, and as if the chairperson couldn't be there. But we do need a permanent chair if anybody else would like to nominate anybody.
I'll be glad.
Okay.
I second.
Can you make a motion, Newt, and somebody else
I
second?
move that Robert White be our permanent chair.
Second.
So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations, Robert.
It's a resume builder right there.
Right.
So I'll
He
turn it
can
over.
lead us in choir practice too.
Yes, yes.
Yes. Oh, yes.
So that takes us to item 2, and I'll turn it over to you, Robert. I don't think we had anybody sign up for comments on actionable items, right, Mitzi?
Okay.
Right, just
No problem.
one guy
That
that we
was a-
didn't have it on the agenda.
that was a
so,
planning
yeah,
commission thing.
we need to go.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and go to item number 4. Consider for approval tennis and pickleball commission meeting minutes from our January 16th meeting. Had a chance to take a look at them, if so we'll entertain the motion for approval.
I move approval of the January 16th. Oh,
I know, whoops. Okay. That's okay.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion
Appreciate
and a second
the
to
effort.
approve the minutes for January 16th. Any further discussion? If not, do we have a call roll on this? All in
He
favor,
said
say
we
aye.
didn't have
Aye.
All- Any opposed? All right, you'll pass.
If we get to something really contentious, we'll do a roll call.
All right.
Hopefully we don't
when
get
their
that.
nose.
Okay, our tennis court renovation update.
I'll update on that. Of course, the 8 courts now are complete. Windscreens are in place. The only final item is there were a few adjustments on the pickleball nets and the post
right.
heights, and then the drainage on the back side. The same company that did that is doing the ball field project next door, so it's much easier for them to do that once they have equipment on site and they start that project. So we anticipate in the next month or so they'll remedy that. Yes, ma'am.
Question, will there be any seating out there? Is that in the works or just not? I know we used to have some bleacher seats on the other side.
Well, there are bleacher seats now, right?
Yes. Well, but
This side there are.
so, Mary Ellen, there are bleachers. They're actually the same bleachers that were there before.
I'm so
But
sorry.
there is a visibility issue because those.
I was gonna ask about
Windscreen's all the
that.
way up, yeah.
But
And
that's
that just is what it is, because I played on them for the
Yeah.
first time this past weekend. They were awesome.
Yeah, they are.
But then
it's good for the players though.
when I was watching
Yeah,
a
the
friend
background.
and there were
Yeah.
some spectators, it's not,
Right,
Um,
it's not as spectator friendly,
Yeah.
honestly. However, the trade-off is the windscreens don't flap and hopefully will last a lot longer.
okay.
I had a question about the windscreens. Usually they have slits or something in them to help with from them getting torn and the resistance. I noticed those don't have them.
No, they're complete, attached to the frame, and there's nothing to flap in the wind. So we looked at a complex in Florida that used them, and they were 10 years in and still looked good. So, and we've tried everything we could possibly try here, from zip ties to S-hooks. We've tried pretty much every method, the rope down the middle, and this hopefully will be our solution.
Was it intentional not to have trash cans or something there on the courts?
No, we're working on that.
Oh, okay. That's
Sure.
something I've noticed, is that people leave things because they're so used to having something
Right.
that they can.
For sure.
Well, that was your bottle on the court.
Yes, sir.
I'll reiterate what Mary Ellen says. The court surface is just great. It's a little gritty, which I like. Ball grips and you're not going to slide near as much. The only thing I would say maybe needs a little of attention is the tension on the net. It seems to go down in the center,
Strap maybe.
strap, and one of the attachments down there is looks like it's broken or needs to be replaced, but that's minor.
And we've got a couple of we've got a USTA tournament, some high school tournament stuff, so I'm sure, and of course, spring fling coming up. So then, while we've enjoyed these courts, we plan on renovating or resurfacing the 16 courts. Beginning May 1st, they will do courts 1 through 8. They anticipate that to take a week, and then they'll jump over on 9 through 16 and do those 8 courts. With that project being scheduled to be completed well within spring fling. And so we've coordinated, Eric and Jasmine have coordinated with the high schools, and it's going to be a couple of weeks there where court availability will be at a premium, but hopefully we'll have new courts to show at.
Is it going to be the same firm, these courts?
What's that?
It's going to be the same firm that did these courts?
Same surface.
It's a different resurfacing company, but it'll be the same one.
Okay, let's hope they do as well.
Right. Well, we've gotten really good reviews on this company that's coming in. Knoxville used them for a lot of their competition courts, and I've got a colleague in Knoxville who his wife plays tennis, and they're very avid tennis people. He was very impressed with them and pleased with their work.
Will there be any windscreens adjustments out here?
Well,
This is just surfacing,
Okay.
but we can always.
now the
address
plan
windscreens.
is to gradually replace windscreens
Right.
out here with the same system that we have here.
Right. And not to harp on it too much, but I mean, you honestly just can't watch.
Right.
Is there as we move, I mean, is what it is, fine, whatever. As we move forward and look at these, is there a degree of darkness? I mean, I understand like the windscreen itself is good, but it doesn't seems to me like it could be a little less, if it was less
Well, we could look at
black, that maybe the visibility, it's not, people are used to looking through windscreens, but it's
We can
the,
certainly look to
it's
that. Now, on the
darkness.
16, I don't think our concern, because we're an internal viewing area. We view from inside out, so doing
Yep.
the darker windscreens on the outside would probably help us, particularly with
Right.
some of our events
Sure.
with crowd control.
Sure.
So we can definitely look at that when we start ordering it.
And so I hate to ask this question. When they start the resurfacing, it's right in the meat of finishing the high school season, getting ready for spring fling and all tournaments. How's that going to affect? Are they going to use these courts? So does that mean the public will not have access at all for those 2 weeks until 8 p.m.? Because they'll have them, 3:30 to 8 or whatever?
Right.
Are we going to communicate that somehow?
Yeah, we'll get the word out. We're working our best. This is growing pains that we're going to have here. It's going to be inconvenient for everybody, for anybody who wants to go to the playground. And we're not even talking about when we start construction here. Because when we can start construction here, we take that whole parking lot out.
Wow.
So we're working as a department-wide to be able to communicate to make, Kids Castle not the destination playground. People need to try other places. I think if you're going to those tennis or pickleball courts, you got to park on the other side and walk across the bridge. But the 2 weeks that we're going to be resurfacing really is minimal compared to what we're going to be facing the next 6 months.
How often do we market for folks who are saying, folks, remember, you can access these courts during the day up until a certain time, because you may have retirees or folks who still think I can only come here in the evenings.
Yeah, we can work on that. I think maybe Eric can work with our marketing team and get out some good messaging about it.
Well,
but Eric, you also he'll be sending out emails to membership explaining what's coming up. The constraints that we're going to have for a couple weeks, I think would be the best way to do it. So our internal audience that we have direct access to is when we want to communicate, and then the community at large about just that.
And those 2 weeks are falling within district, region, so the number of high school athletes gradually gets smaller and smaller as we progress through the 2 weeks. So hopefully it'll just be some brief growing pains.
We do want to have those done before spring fling. You know, I think it'll be good. We need some repairs badly, so. Right.
And then we'll come back in August. Eric's going to schedule, and Jasmine are going to schedule the best time, but they'll need to shut this place down for 7 days to do the indoor courts.
Robert, that schedule with the high schools and the usage will all be on the outdoor calendar as well. We're trying to train people to do that, and Thomas was very clear to me and Jasmine and Tony that we over communicate this. So Jasmine's already contacted all the coaches, and you know, we're really trying to get ahead of that because we know it's going to be disruptive.
Yeah, and I think that's important because I was just sharing with Tony. Our goal is to continue to have enthusiasm around tennis. Right now, I've been here in the evenings and there are 8, 10 players just standing around hoping they can get court access. Now, thankfully, pickleball, they don't experience that. They go down there, they have the rotation. Theirs is not disrupted, but tennis players are coming and leaving because they can't get access to anything sometimes until 7, 8 o'clock at night. We've got to communicate this better if we're trying to keep people enthusiasts
Right.
For tennis. Yeah, you got to address that.
I think just everybody be prepared. There will be a lot of complaints. There's going to be a lot of chatter. People on Facebook are going to be frustrated, you know, but it's just growing pains, you know, so.
But we'll also have some positives because I think people are excited to get those cracks fixed.
Oh, absolutely.
You know,
yeah,
so-
everybody's excited, but it's just going to be, and I'm not talking about the surfacing. I'm talking about the whole thing. Taking it back.
process. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, as
For
you
sure.
communicate, give them hope for
We
the
are,
future.
yeah. You know, we started last week. We put out a Facebook post that got a lot of engagement. You know, showcasing some of our new playgrounds that have been installed over the past year. You know, instead of coming to Kids Castle, try out Siegel, try out General Bragg. You know, that type of stuff. So we're gonna do our best to communicate it. So bear with us.
We appreciate it. And I will say, I love the energy coming, driving and leaving about 8 o'clock and still down on the far end, pickleball players still playing.
Yeah.
I give them that they have this energy and this kind of thing that I just love seeing. And we want to see the same thing with tennis. It's pretty cool.
I do have one question from just on the pickleball courts. We had talked about having a paddle rack on each side, one for 3 courts and one for 3. Have we ever bought the new ones that I gave you the specs on?
I don't think we've got those yet.
Alan, we won't be able to purchase those until our new fiscal cycle, so we can't
Which
get
is
them.
when?
July
July.
1st.
We went through before the courts were even built. Nate, you and I talked about adding those on as part of this. We came in 4 meetings ago when we had this. I gave Tony the email from that to order them. You know, originally they were going to be about $600 a piece. I found a company that makes them for $300 each, and to put those on there for who the next 4 are to slide it. The black ones that were bought with metal have the possibility of damaging grips the way that they put them in and pull them out. It's sheet metal. These are plastic that will hold up to the weather with a sliding ball, color coded. Who's the next group? I mean, we have that, and there was supposed to be one on each side. So.
And the ones you found with the new company?
Yeah.
Is that one you sent?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the same one I sent to Nate.
Enough to
before
call
that.
them is they have to be a vendor for us to buy from them.
And I think you were to see if they can apply for a vendor number. If not, I mean, the more expensive ones are available that are about $600. I was just trying to save the city money.
While we're on that topic of court maintenance, the other thing on those new courts, pickleball, weren't they supposed to have a board with the kind of general rules? If the courts are full, how to do that? Didn't you give them the list of, like, play 1 game, rotate, or weren't you going to put a board up there that explained all that?
No, that's kind of new to me. I don't.
Well, just the rules that we did it at Patterson of, you know, that.
No singles, if the courts are full,
Yeah.
it's just doubles, and because you got beginners coming out there and they don't they don't know what to do, and they may stay on the court longer than they should, or may not keep score.
You can send those to us. We'd be glad to take a look at them.
Yeah,
Every time I was out there earlier this week.
I mean, we had one earlier at,
The established players know them, but so many new people are taking up the game. The other thing that I was going to ask is there someone going around looking at court maintenance throughout the town? Because Patterson is just in disrepair. I mean, the gate you can't even open, the main gate to get into the court, you can't even open it. It's stuck to the bottom of the asphalt of the court surface. The nets need straps. There's lights, I think, that are out. Just as, I don't know, someone's going out there once a week, even once a month to kind of look at some of because it gets a lot of use, and, it'd be nice if, somebody didn't have to complain to get that fixed, if somebody was kind of watching over that.
We have a maintenance foreman at Patterson who's doing that weekly now, and their custodial staff is going through daily. We've got $70,000 slated for the next fiscal year that's still in to redo all the fencing out there because it's in disrepair.
Yeah.
We've rigged it up as much as we can. So $70,000 will do permanent fencing in between, so we don't have that, horrible stuff. So
Nice.
Yeah, the answer is yes.
Okay.
The lights out there are constantly an issue that we're working through. So, but to answer your question, yeah, we take pretty pride in the maintenance of these things. Sometimes you just got to rip the fencing out and replace it.
if I make up the rule signs or a sign for that, who should I send that to?
Why don't you send that to Eric to take a look at? We're cautious with signage. Just sign pollution is a real thing. When you have so much signage, people just don't read it. But we'd be glad to look at it. I was out there the other day and people are asking me to make signs about the gate, signs about this, signs. We could just put signs for days and it just doesn't accomplish anything. But if it's something that's standard, we'd be glad to take a look at it.
I'll take a picture of the one in Patterson and maybe tweak it a little bit.
Where did that head banner come up? Do you know? Does anybody know who put that up?
At the new court or the old one?
The new one.
The head, I don't know.
We probably need to take that down.
I don't know who put that up. It's the head, the head company, like racket company.
Yeah.
Put a banner up there.
Huge banner.
Strung it up. I don't know if there's somebody's a head rep. I don't know in town who is, but
Let's get that taken.
they shouldn't have done that without asking.
No problem. We are working on one sign though, and because we already have that sign has a lot of rules that we have out there currently. But Tony and I regularly are talking to the public and saying, please don't skateboard or ride your bikes out here. And as I interview them, often it's just overflow from the skate park, and they don't want to mess with them, so they come over. So we do want to make one sign for that, so it's
Something simple.
so it's deadly obvious. Please don't do that. But please send that sign over.
I do have one more question on the sign. Since we only have the paddle rack on one side instead of two, the sign would have said, this rack is for courts, whatever the three numbers are on this side. The other rack is for that. So I don't know how to word it since we only have one rack now.
We're gonna figure out the rack thing.
So go ahead and just send both your signs over,
Yeah.
let Tony and Eric review them, and we'll get the rack thing figured out.
Don't give up, Alan. We'll get this done, okay? Don't-
Tony, go ahead and figure out the one that he sent over. See if we can get them as a vendor.
Okay.
We need to knock that out before.
Yeah, I have this for you.
I'll send you.
I think I forwarded it.
I think I've got a copy.
Yes.
Before I send it to you. See if you have any suggestions.
Any other questions or comments about the renovation update? All right, if not, we'll go ahead and go through the pro contract discussion.
Yeah, we're working on making some adjustments to the pro contracts that we have now. In three different ways, really. One, just the last 5 centers that I've been to, and me calling around and getting information on what is paid to instructors when they help with classes for programs at those facilities. And even around here, 2 different places, the average rate is about $40 per class for the instructor. Here we pay between $60 and $77, and it's really tough on our budget to be able to pay that, and it also limits someone like me to be able to get enough instructors to expand our programs, because we end up running past the amount in our budget, right? So I'm really trying to get that back down to norms for industry, for centers all over, and get us back inside that norm. So I'm going to move that down to 40 to 50 as far as the amount goes per class. And then I wanted to base it off, because I've done this before, is at a couple different places. Just base it off their PTR, PTA rating. So like I'm rated to level 2. So they'll have to give me their certificate. This is actually mine. So it'll say level 2 on it. So if they're a level 1 instructor, so for instance, if I got a tick and it got them certified, and they became a pro, and I put them under a pro contract, they would get $60 an hour for whatever class we put them into. If I have Robert, who's been here a little while, or someone else that's been a pro who's a level 2 or beyond, they still also get 60, but they're not the same. Because one is just trying to get some experience, start off with, and the other has had years of experience, right? So I'm trying to even that out. So if they're a tier 1 instructor with either one of those organizations, then they would get 40. And if they're a tier 2, which that's what I am, then they would get 45. And then if they got a tier 3 certification, then so they would have to do that extra stuff, education, professional development, and then they would get 50. And kind of have it kind of set up like that, instead of everyone gets just 60 or 77 in some cases, right? I think that overall would just give more money in the budget for me to get, more quality. I don't need more quality than we have, I need more instructors quality to help facilitate some of the many programs that we're going to have in the future. All right. And that's really what that is. But along the way, since we're going to set it up that way, we really need to get them they're going to have to give me a copy of their certification. And also, we don't really have all of them with that have a Safe Play certification. So Safe Play is something that is very common. It's PE coaches, even college coaches have to have a Safe Play. Hope you know that. But some teachers do that run different programs outside of the school. They have to go get a Safe Play certification. Okay, so there's a USTA Safe Play certification. Soccer, many different sports have it. So I just feel like overall, for the with Safe Play, they talk about harassment, how to deal with kids, and how to react.
It talks about child abuse and
different things.
how your role
Yeah.
as a leader, as someone of power, how that can be exploited. So it really keeps our children safe from being exploited.
Just
essentially
keeps that awareness out there and say, hey, stay in line, be professional, all those kind of things. Just kind of trying to raise the quality of our instructors now and in the future. So those are the changes we want to make.
Yeah, we got a question.
How long is the clinic? How long for $50? How much is an hour? How long is the clinic for?
Each one of our
You
classes.
said they're getting 50. Yeah.
Yeah, 1 hour.
1 hour.
Yeah. Although if they do it, we have some that are hour and a half, so they would get 90, right?
Gotcha.
For that hour and a half.
It's just not
Right.
financially sustainable.
It's not.
For the numbers that you have to have. You look at it, you take a step back, every clinic that we're doing is either breaking even or losing money. So we want to match up with the compensation to what the industry standard is.
That's right.
Instead of the arbitrary 75% that was, I think we came up with during those talks.
So this says pro contract, so do we already have agreements with them?
No,
we're getting paid a certain rate right now?
Right now, this would be when we implement the new contract
The
that
new
goes
contract,
into
right.
effect July 1st.
Oh,
It's an annual contract that goes with our fiscal
So
year.
tell me what their current contract is, because it changed to where we paid them directly and they had they paid.
Now, if you pay them directly, that's on them. That's their what?
We pay them to teach
Right.
for our
That's right.
lessons that we retain the revenue.
So like if
And
I
then-
take from Bob or Jason and I have a clinic that they set up and I'm still Venmoing them, this does not affect?
Correct.
No,
No.
it's only our normal
Right.
program classes,
Okay,
like
just Adam's program.
This
That's
is
right, like the-
internal city programming.
Like the first one on
Not
there.
whatever, that's between you, and they're just
That's
paying
right.
us a rental fee.
Got
So
it.
will
to
they
use
have
the
time,
space.
will they have enough notice to know that we're gonna need these kind of certifications? Or what if you have one that's been doing a great job but may not have that?
They all have to have certifications
Yeah,
already.
They all have
Okay.
to, yeah, anyway, yeah. But I don't have a copy of it, so I need that to see what to pay them,
What pay rate?
based on this scale here,
Is there, for the safe play,
right?
is that something that the city pays for as ongoing education, or is that something
It's
out there?
actually free.
Okay.
Yeah,
Perfect.
go on, you spend about an hour online, go through the classes
I mean,
and
I'm
so
all for
forth.
certifications,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
as
If there
you
is an
get-
expense to be paid, we'll pay it. It's like
Perfect.
$25, I think.
No worries.
Yeah, yeah.
What kind of comments or suggestions or feedback are you getting from your existing pros about the potential changes to your contract?
Well, I've been a little more quiet about it. What have they told you?
They
I think they're.
I'll paraphrase, but they know they're getting a really good deal here. They're not opposed to it at all. They know it's in line. Bob, I've talked to Bob, I've talked to Robert, and they're 100% fine with it new. They have no problem. What we don't want to do is make them pay more for their courts, you know. And as Mayor Elam pointed out, they still have full potential to make earnings through their privates. So it's really only affecting Tony with his ability to do cost recovery in an effective manner. Right now, his hands are so tied with us having to pay each person a percentage of what they arbitrarily charge for their privates.
And there's no security with that. Somebody could be charging $80 and we're paying 75%, and say, hey, actually, I've gone up to $110, you know. So there's no certainty
That's a good
And
point.
will we
whatsoever.
still incentivize, or do we still have an incentive-based program for
We
the
do.
pros going forward?
I want to talk through that internally
Sure.
just a little bit before we come, you know,
Okay.
have any public discussion about that, because I think we do need to, the model's just a little bit
Sure.
all over the place. We've tried this, we've lost a lot of money trying it. We used to, you know, so we've got to regroup. I think this is the first step in saying, we're going to, you know, make these clinics that we offer internally financially sustainable, you know, because we want to offer them. We don't want to make a killing off of them, but you can't lose money on them.
Could you all speak a little bit, you know, to the, I'm sort of interested in understanding, you know, a young kid shows some, you know, some possibility about being a good tennis player. You know, they start in one of these program clinics, you know, they do well. As they matriculate up to somebody that might be, you know, a college player, are we able to provide that kind of instruction, you know, whether it's one-on-one or a clinic or whatever, to that individual to help them, you know, seek, you know, their
Full
best,
potential, yeah.
best potential in tennis?
Right, and that's, and you can see, I'll give you this, but that is, that's the goal, right? So we have, basically, we have started building from the ground up. So we have red ball, and you have red ball 1, which is just a beginner, 4 to 6 year olds, and then the red ball 2. So they're actually playing points on the court over the red ball, with the red ball, and then you got the orange ball. So we kind of laid the groundwork and we're building up. So we're up to like 14U beginner and intermediate, or middle school. Can you that same age range? And there's two different pathways on that sheet there. I'll make sure all of you have one of those.
I can pass them out.
and you-
Where are they?
They're all right. Okay. So that's the goal right now. So we didn't have that, and we're trying to create that. And we're at 14U right now. There's about 11 or 12 more classes to add on to that to get to that player that you're talking about.
Okay.
Yes, but along with the new rate and everything, it'll allow me to bring in some other people, other pros, maybe a few more, so that can kind of complete that, and at the top end they would be able to have that full development all the way to be able to play college tennis.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're in a building process when it comes
Okay.
to that whole program.
Well, it's exciting to see the progression of these young kids.
Yes.
You know, as they get
what
better
gets me
and better
going
and better,
every
and man, you just want to man.
So if a kid just walked in the door down there, a parent with the kid, and said, I just want to get my child some lessons,
Right.
you would put them in one of these programs?
They could take private lessons, but yeah, so we would be able to plug them in right where they need to be in the program.
I'll help you out, don't worry.
So if they came in and they were lower income and couldn't afford private lessons, you have something that they can just come in to pay and get exposure to the game?
We have a little bit of scholarship.
Yes, absolutely. It's a process the city has. You can apply for it, and it can give you, I think it gives you like a, I don't know the percentages, but they're quite high.
We have a financial assistance policy.
Yes.
Nobody's turned away for their inability to pay when it comes to our community programs. So
That's right.
it's different income levels. It's based off of a pre-reduced lunch. That way they prove it to us.
Right.
And that goes for any program we have. If you equate it to what we give up every year, it's about, I think, $600,000 in financial assistance every year. So nobody's ever turned away.
Because I've had parents ask me
Yeah.
if I wanted to get my child lessons, and I tell them, go to Adams.
Yeah.
And so when they come here, you're asking them what level, or if they're beginner or whatever. Then you're selecting a pro to give them lessons, or do they have some kind of group thing they come out to and just play it as kids? Or
They get like a membership, and then they get reduced cost on their lessons. I don't think privates are included in that.
Okay.
And then we've got one for sure, maybe two at ATC that take advantage of that. So it's not a really widely used program here.
There's a couple right now that I teach, and I don't charge. I'm trying to get them to that point where they're enjoying the group and so forth. So I do my my part to help facilitate that.
I'll start teaching some too.
What's that?
Signing up.
I'll give you a lesson.
Make sure he's got that play safe certificate.
You never know. No, just kidding.
all right. Any other discussion about the pro contracts? Questions?
I would just say this: we might bring it back as an update but we don't vote on those contracts. It's something that's done as a standard across the board. So.
All right.
Robert, one quick thing. Tony did put a lot of work into the research, and I looked on Indeed. Country clubs in the area, that's what they're paying their pros, $40 and $50. So we're way over it.
Yeah.
Way over it.
And just in general, how it stands right now, our contract pros don't, it will affect them to some degree, but it's not the bulk of their income, correct?
No, so like for example, Bob is primarily teaches his own privates. He does get an incentive by helping us in ours where his court fees are reduced by a small amount. Jason never takes advantage of that, but certainly Robert and Ali, a couple of other ones can do both. It's a hybrid,
Okay.
but they're all going to make significant amount of money. Doesn't kneecap them at all.
It gives them a base, and it helps us out too.
Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
making sure I have a full understanding of.
And I appreciate that
Questions are asked,
because I've asked them to come to these meetings and advocate for themselves because often they don't feel like they have a voice, and I do appreciate you guys asking questions on their behalf, because I know that our pros are high quality and we don't want to lose them.
Absolutely.
Right.
We all know how these discussions can get derailed pretty quickly though, so just feel free to call us if you have any questions. And last time we adjusted, I called Jason and Bob. We'll just keep the communication going. Just know our staff is communicating, but sometimes how it gets back to some of their patrons or some of the people, the information just gets shifted sideways, and we don't want that to happen.
Right.
All right. Our next item is an update on the program.
Right, and that's this here. I kind of go through this. You can see all the current programming all the way through the 14 U's I mentioned on the first
Your copy
page.
in here.
And then there's some that we haven't added yet, like, there's two different pathways. So one because you have a tradition here of middle school and high school tennis, I want to keep that pathway. But for some that don't end up playing middle school or high school, they just want to be on a USTA tournament pathway. That's what the other pathway is geared toward. So I'm already getting players, young juniors in the USTA tournament that I'm doing on May 3rd, and they're in the tournament pathway over here. So you can see that we still have some 18Us. There's about 5 different classes on each one of those that still haven't added. And on the second page there, it just kind of shows it's really an approximate, but it's pretty close, the number of students that are in our programs right now for April overall, and all the classes is about 87 weekly. And of course, they come about eight times a month. You know, every Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, or so forth, and that's where the 700 mark came from. And then on the last sheet is basically some future programs that in the approximate month that we're going to implement those. And approximately how many are in bump, 60, 70 each weekend.
Yay, bump.
Yeah. So
Love that.
yeah, and then and the challenge ladder is something we got to redo. We have it up there. It's not as active as Eric or I either one want, but we'll get there. I'm gonna separate that out and have like a men, women's, like doubles even, maybe 4 different ladders there to jump into.
That'd be good, Tony. Yeah.
And working on the flex league too. So in August, I just waiting to get to there. We'll have a weekly batch, like just a flex league. I'm actually modeling that after USTA Atlanta, which has a really nice flex league. So,
So your, for instance, this mixer.
Yeah.
So you use indoor courts? Is that what you?
Yeah, I don't want to do it. So it's on like a Friday evening, 6 to 8 or 5 to 7, something like that. Yeah.
So Friday night is
It's normally our mixer night.
it's such a challenge for us because MTSU often does their matches. Block time, just to remind all of you, 5 months out of the year. So 5 months out of the year plus MTSU, hard to get those mixers going. So I'm always pushing, but I realize what our limitations are. But I do appreciate Tony and everyone else trying to get these mixers going. So it would be indoors, but because of all those two other challenges, it's going to be difficult to maintain throughout the year.
What's been the usage after block time ended within March? The usage of the courts in the evening indoors.
Well, so there's a group of guys, about 20, 30 of them Monday night.
They still use that.
So, we created a mixer for them because their block time ended, and they've been playing for 23 years, I think it is, and so we just kind of all talked about what would the best solution for that be. So we just created a mixer for them, but that's an open system, so people have to sign up, and they're also looking for new people.
How many courses they use?
We only allocate 3.
Yeah,
We only allocate 3 for the mixer. But to answer your question, we are very busy. I'm surprised though, from 8 to 9, we're not as busy. So you can almost always get a court from 8 to 9, which kind of puts a dampener on my ultimate plan to be open till 11. But maybe that's just not meant to be. But that's fine. But I feel like we have a lot of usage with that block time. So and the thing too, I would add, if you don't mind, is having those open courts, is an incentive to get a membership, because if you're blocked out from courts because of block time, then you may not want to get a membership. That's why mixers and bump and these other programs, even that Monday night mixer, is an open system, which gives people. Who said hope earlier? Somebody said hope. I think it was you. People need hope to feel like they can get a court, and that incentivizes them to get a membership. So, but programs I think are so vital for what we've all been talking about. They get heavy use. I mean, wouldn't you agree on that, Jasmine? Yeah, I mean we're just packed.
Great. I appreciate you sharing this because one of the questions I had, of course, we brought you on last fall, and now a part of our charge to you as you were making the hire was to bring someone on that could do programs, really utilize and bring some revenue streams. So now that we've gone by a few months, what do you think?
Well, I think Tony's grown tremendously. I think there's a culture here, there's challenges here that are really extraordinary. And this is a very complicated facility to manage because there's so many competing interests. And I think it took Tony quite a while to kind of know what our systems were, and I think he's learned how to listen to his reports and empower them. I see continuous progress. I've seen him soften. I see him getting more, understanding that there are some needs for changes. Pro contract, one of the most important things for me. It's always been a big challenge for me. So now I have an advocate to help with that. Thomas, my boss, always says we can always be better. Those are words to live by, and I think we all embrace that. So I do think Tony's made a lot of progress, and I think just learning, like this is a good report for him. He really went into the detail. He told you how he got his numbers, and so he's kind of like Tony and I have some similarities. We're both introverted. We don't like to necessarily explain our thoughts to everyone. So those are things we both have to work on. And I think he's made a lot of progress in that area.
Well, overall, I mean, it's been very challenging as far as the funds to facilitate instructors, block time, which is this is the 10th complex or center that I've been to in the last 25 years, and we never had block time at all. So there are certain challenges. It's not necessarily good or bad. It's just a little different. So just had different challenges, and like he said, there's competing interest, and it just took me a little bit to get my feet underneath me to say, okay, I had to kind of restart my thinking a little bit. How am I going to approach this or this? And that's kind of normal.
But your hands have also been tied too, Tony, because you kind of, we caught you in summer, so that was a flourishing time for programs. But then now you had to deal with block time, and now you didn't necessarily have any mechanisms. And then Tony's referring to his budget. We only have X amount of money that we allocate to pay our pros to teach our classes. And if we're paying them big fees, that really limits his ability to grow. So he's had his hands tied in many regards.
But overall, I think we're on the right path and have a plan. This is definitely I'm a little bit more of an introvert. This is kind of a look inside my brain and how I think and programming and so forth. And but this is the plan, and that's kind of the way we're going, and it's just building upon that. So hopefully we get around to this time next year, we'll be really going well, and it's just going to be better and better as we go. Yeah.
So I think Tony has a really good vision. One of the reasons we did hire him was because we wanted to have a lot of USTA teams participate. I remember Mary Elam just like, wow, teams have practices, they have people coaching them. That's the norm, and that's what we've been lacking. It's just, a very vibrant kind of developmental component to the people that play tennis. Dana and I and Tony had a pretty good meeting yesterday where we really want to just, work together as a team to really help Tony so it doesn't all fall on his shoulders, because he's only one person. He can only do so much. I'm basically salary, Tony and Dana, we're permanent employees, so we can take some of those costs that would normally be dinged against him off his plate, and we could leverage our time to help him do stuff. So I would say, Tony is, like I said, working on empowering his people. He's listening. There's a give and take. I think his vision is very strong, but sometimes he can get a little stubborn. but I think he's really softened his edges. So I think that's where we need to
One
to be.
one change on the contract that I put in here was of your interest, because the current contract has them only being able to use one court for their private lessons and so forth. So I did put in here that they could use 2 courts if they were coaching a team.
Because teams would benefit from having 2 courts. They can spread out.
So you're starting to see that more with them coaching teams?
Well, that's where we're headed, and we don't have
encourage them to
the
get-
mechanisms yet. So that contract, because I don't want to compete against our pros, so we don't let pros do programs. They can't do programs when they have only 1 court. So I thought that was really insightful for Tony to say, well, if we're going to coach teams and we're going to have team practices, they might need 2 courts. Give them that option, but only for that, because again, we want the health of our revenue is going to be team practices, team lessons. Then the moms get involved. I want my child to do that. So the programs, it really centers around USTA teams. And right now, Dana says some people play 6 or 7 different teams. That's crazy to me.
Not me, just.
What?
Don't tell
I keep
that.
pointing at Mary
When I
Elon.
tell my family that I'm on 6 or 7 teams.
Yeah, fake. Well,
They
how many
probably
teams are you on
already know
though?
that, Mary.
I bet you're on more than 1.
I am.
See, I knew it.
Confession.
Cool. All right.
I will add, just a note is, we'll add, so on August 23rd, I have the PTR coming in to do a tennis and a pickleball certification on the same weekend. All right, so they'll come in, and anyone that wants to get a PPR or PTR certification will be able to do it that weekend. So, and that part of that is because I have a couple of our pros here that want to do a little bit of pickleball on the side, and so we can contract them to do that, and they can just do beginner classes, like have a certain time set out for just adult beginner pickleball and what have you, and then maybe a ladder league.
What's the cost of that certification to attend that?
It's only about $75. I have to see what their new rates are. Actually, it's about $75 for the whole thing, for the certification. They teach you how to do it, how to teach dinks and just how to play the game, and then it's usually done on a Saturday, and then the next day you test, and then they send that certification back to you, whatever level that is. And the same thing for the tennis on the other side. So we have tennis certification going on this side, pickleball going on that side. And it's the same thing. Saturday is kind of a review and how to teach forehand, backhand, whatever it is. And then there's, for instance, there was a group of 5, and then the Sunday morning they'll have, maybe Eric would teach the serve as part of his certification, and they would just assign me, all right, you have to teach forehand tomorrow morning, and so based on the PTR method, right, and then the tester just puts that down and then sends the certifications back. So it's usually about 75 to 125, something like that. It's usually the range, unless they've gone up like everything else. So, but I know that with that amount of programming that I'm trying to get to now and in the future, I don't have enough pros to do it. I know that. So I'd have to do 10 of those classes myself and to be able to do it. So I'll have to get a couple more instructors. So I'm thinking that may be a way to get some people that play tennis, like Mary Elam, that might want to do a certification. I'm just, and learn how to teach the game, and then be one of our instructors. Yeah, so.
I know there used to be people that taught pickleball. Melissa Powell, I think, was one of them, and she had to pay the city a certain percentage if she used the court. Is there anybody now doing that in Rutherford County?
I don't think currently we have anyone on contract yet. Melissa's not anymore, I don't think, so. Melissa was the last one.
She moved over to Brentwood where the rates are higher. She's got a pretty lucrative contract.
Yeah.
Amber White teaches at Apex, so that, I know she does lessons.
Nate Brown, Nate does too.
Yeah.
Apex is, it's closing. So.
We are trying to build a bridge with the pickleball players. It doesn't seem like we're separated from them at all, but I know they used to, when that pickleball area was being built, they would actually come in this building. We had a discussion like they cannot come in here and play pickleball. Well, we sell pickleball paddles and pickleball grips and pickleball bags. I love the one that Dr. Bonner gave me. She gave me a beautiful pickleball bag once. But anyway, we met with the pickleball. What's the organization called? The Murfreesboro Pickleball Association. Yeah, so they came over. They're going to buy a gift certificate. They want to do some sort of introductory event for people, teaching the basics of pickleball. But we want people to know that even though they can't play pickleball in here, this is still a resource for them to come and buy refreshments, buy paddles. We want to. Our plan is to use. I think that little thing that Alan doesn't like, where you hold the pickleball paddles. And we want to have free pickleball paddle rentals where you can just go out there and borrow them. You give us your license and you go play. Because we do that with rackets already. We do that with tennis balls. We're really trying to get people to see like this is a place where you can come and enjoy and touch base with us, and we want to really support it. And
Do you have demos for new?
We do. So we do have demos. That's right. Free demos. Just give us your ID or whatever, and then we have pickleball balls that you can borrow. So we want to extend a friendly hand, because I feel like maybe someone got a bad taste in their mouth saying, well, we just can't go in that building. We don't want that impression at all.
Good point. All right, ready for our spring tournament schedule. Looks like it's packed here.
Yep. Jasmine made this up and kind of got together. Next tournament's actually May 3rd. It's called Spring for the Stars. It's a level 7 USTA tournament that I run it myself. Okay. We'll have about 3 of those this year. We actually have a lot less tournaments than we had last year. So I mean that's
USTA.
USTA, because that was kind of my initiation, because once we got to October, we had like seemingly 11 or 12 weeks, like every weekend. It was, I know you couldn't get on the court. It seemed like we had a tournament, so had to thin that out a little and get on a better track. So, yeah.
So how's that relationship with USTA?
It's great.
It's great.
It's great. Yeah.
I noticed that site in Spring Hill is not going to happen. Is that correct?
Oh, no. As far as I know, I don't think so. I think they backed out, right?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Tony's really worked on getting more transparency with them, because sometimes they would just send us a bulk check. It's like, what's this check? And so we really want them to itemize that for us, so we can keep track of all the accounts that we have with them, because we basically have a lot of accounts with them. We've got what's that little tennis one called on Saturdays? I forget now. Rally Cats.
Rally Cats.
How can I forget Rally Cats? Rally Kittens. We've got Rally Cats. We've got all the tournaments, and so they have all these different accounts that they have with us, and so he's really said, hey, we need more transparency on that, and then also like the tournaments. I will say the USTA, I think, has good intentions. They are trying to give us all these tournaments, not so that they can run them. They're trying to teach us and get us comfortable with running our own tournaments. That was their intention, and to get us familiar with all that. And I think now
it's a better relationship now.
It's better, it really because is. now that they're backing off a little bit more, but there's things that they can accomplish that we just simply cannot, like the team tennis stuff. That's just not in our wheelhouse. That's all the different teams from all over the state or whatever. That's beyond our scope. So that's a good relationship there. It's a good counter to what we offer. But I think Tony's really trying to get more tournaments that are geared towards the people that live here and the people that can play in them. Because even when we have some junior tournaments, there's no juniors from this area that even play in them. They don't even qualify. So do the lower level. Lower level, ironically, is a higher number, like the 5s, 6s, and 7s. Those tournaments are more for more recreational, aspiring players.
So I do their user agreements and work with them, and just kind of made them be a little more accountable. Like he said, they would send us a check 3 months late with just one number. It's like, what is this for? And then some they weren't even paying. It's like there's just no accountability. So I think we're a lot better track now with that. So yeah.
What are the spring fling dates?
Oh, boy.
20th through the
It's May.
23rd.
20th through the 23rd.
That's a good question.
I said that with so much confidence. but
No, you're right.
I had a question, it's probably, doesn't pertain to this as much, but USTA, are they still gonna build that big facility in Spring Hill?
They backed out.
That's what Robert was just mentioning, that they.
Yeah, they pulled out.
All right, any other
So-
questions on the schedule? If not, any other business?
And like I say, you could always email me or call me anytime, of course, if you have any questions. But, like Nate said, just, sometimes the public can go a little sideways with these things, and we want to have more of a clear message and clear
Thomas calls me a
path on
pessimist.
this.
I'm a realist when it comes to our parking situation. I just know, especially with spring fling, there's
Yeah.
a chance that, so.
Will you have already started this
I just
construction?
want to make sure, what's that?
Will you have already begun this? Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so help it, just be an advocate for us if you can, explain that we understand that they're growing pains, with.
So where will they park? Just anywhere near the golf?
Well, we're gonna do controlled parking.
Oh, good.
Basically. We're gonna monitor the gates.
Okay.
And then we'll park on the back end. We'll have, Mitzi will be distributing passes for everybody here. So you'll have a pass that will allow you to park in the main parking lot in the VIP. So it shouldn't affect this group at all if you want to come watch spring fling tennis. But the general public will pay $5 in parking pass.
Okay.
We're hoping the contractors will work with us where we can at least put the buses down here in this lower area. Then, hopefully we can reserve enough space for that. I think in the back, there's enough to overflow. The maintenance guys are gonna do some cleanup, some gravel and stuff and spread it out, but I think they'll have it nice enough. And then we'll operate 2 gates on that back end for those busy days. And then, of course, we'll have our main gate here as always. But when it's really busy and we're driving all the traffic to the back of the complex, we'll have 2 main gates for entry.
We have a very small sign. It's kind of hard to read, but it's beautifully made. That talks about there's going to be some problems with parking. We put it right in the very front. Most people won't see it, but we're trying to get people, prime them for this experience.
All right. If there's no other business, is there a motion to adjourn?
So move.
All right.
Only other question I had was next meeting. I know we've kind of gotten a little bit off of our meeting schedule. What do we have it slated for? And
It's always the 3rd Thursday, and I don't know if they'll hold it or not, but the rest of the year, they're all set on the 3rd Thursday unless there's a holiday or something.
Right. And we skip it. We skip it if there's a holiday, right?
All right.
But
We're
I
adjourned.
can send